Loki is by far the most anticipated Marvel TV show that comes out and also came out this year, and I was absolutely part of the club that didn't think Loki was a good idea. Why? Well, really because he has been such a big part of the Marvel universe so far, and he already died a couple of thousand times. And now we get a show about some derivative version of Loki that escaped with the Tesseract in Endgame? What are we supposed to think about that? Doesn't that sound like the Marvel crew has run out of ideas? Well, yeah, but the trailer was absolutely bonkers. It looked unique, imaginative, humorous, and right after that first trailer, I was stoked, man. So let's discuss this first episode. Hi fellow Disney Plus watchers, this is Thoughts After Disney Plus Watch, where we review everything new Disney Plus coming out, and I'm glad you're watching. So Loki is about Loki escaping during Avengers Endgame with the Tesseract in New York. However, the TVA, Time Variance Authority, confronts him with this criminal act against time and tries to contain this god of mischief by... Well, let me stop there, because I want to talk about this first episode without spilling any spoilers. Now, my expectations for this show have been satisfied. It's absolutely, incredibly made. Where do I start? Okay, let me first say the very first thing that comes to mind. This show is already very visually tight. The color palette, everything from the costumes to the final rendering and color grading, everything's green, yellow, brownish color dressed, and I never felt like it was overdone or didn't fit the scene. So all locations in this episode were very much rendered in the same strong color tones, but it was beautiful to see all throughout. This episode is so rich with well thought out concepts, funny and weird ideas, small little details on how the TVA is organized, and it just cracks you up or puts a smile on your face. This episode really feels like it's part of a much bigger world. The concept and explanation of the Time Variance Authority is also very well handled because the episode takes its time. It really takes a lot of time to explain this concept step by step. To explain these concepts of these Minutemen and how they do their job and what the TVA is all about and how it came to be. There's actually a great introduction video that explains the concept of this organization with great wit and playfulness. I don't want to say too much about it, but it's animated and it takes inspiration from old cartoons. It's a humorous and light way to explain a really big thing that will put the Marvel Cinematic Universe completely on its head. It might be my favorite scene because it was so authentic. It was inspired by older cartoons. It really went for it, like WandaVision. It really went for this style. And as I said, it was light in tone while still really being about a universe-changing concept. This little cartoon did a lot of things for this episode. It took me a little while to get used to Loki as a main character. I mean, he's a cool, charismatic dude. He always has been, but his cocky mannerisms, his narcissistic worldview, to be thrown into a story where this is your guy to root for, it takes some adjusting. That is why the writers of this show were wise enough to reveal a really clear, simple, but effective character motivation for Loki that puts him in a very interesting position. If you ask me. If you've seen the episode and know how it ends, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I think this show will have no problem making me care for Loki in the coming weeks, judging by this first episode. I don't know about you, but I have to pause for a moment and mention the music, because you know I'm a soundtrack guy. I probably mentioned this too often here on the channel, but whenever a soundtrack is really good, I mention it here, and also hum the theme after the movie or episode in this case. It's very synthy, reminded me also of X-Files kind of music for very old detective shows. It features a lot of ticking clock, which is obviously suited for this kind of show. It's about time. The music really stood out to me. I think I have a few nitpicks, so no show or movie is perfect, but before I go into that, if you're one that can't get enough Disney Plus, this is the only channel that's specifically and absolutely only Disney Plus thoughts and reviews. Episode per episode, we all watch together. You'll have an idea on what to expect. Click that button and that bell if you want to follow along. Thank you so much. Moving on. So as we've all seen in the very first trailer, so I feel confident to talk about it vaguely, the character of Owen Wilson, Agent Mobius, is showing Loki some footage of his life at some point, and this was a tool to give Loki more character motivation, and to be honest, it felt very convenient. It's a story tool and makes a lot of sense to write something like this in, but it's so obviously a tool that it didn't really work wonders, in my opinion. There's also this one supporting character that really feels fake. He's not funny, but he's supposed to be. His acting is a bit over the top. He acts like a 12-year-old kid, to be honest, and it didn't work for me, to be honest. It was a bit overacted. Oh, and sometimes the small things are bugging me the most. I won't show the proper screenshot here because the scene itself was great and actually very surprising that this scene was featured in the first episode because we got a glimpse of it in the trailer and I just assumed this scene wouldn't be part of the introduction episode because I thought it was like a mission or something. I don't know. But okay, moving on. There's one shot, one image that expands the aspect ratio. You know, from widescreen to 16:9, filling the whole screen of your TV. But it can't be a stylistic choice. It just doesn't make any sense. It would be very strange if this was a conscious choice and not a mistake. It really is simply the final shot of a scene that's completely in widescreen. This is such a short little moment of confusion, but if you think about it, it's a pretty big deal that one shot in this episode suddenly is a different format. It drives me crazy, you know? Aside from this little flub and maybe one annoying character here and there, this episode blew me away. It's visually pleasing, all its stylistic choices are very confidently handled, except for that one 16:9 shot. Okay, I'll shut up about it. The episode is a great introduction and takes its time to explain the TVA in funny and clever ways. The music is already killer, can't wait for the soundtrack albums to start releasing. Anyone know, by the way, when the music is supposed to release? I can't find it anywhere, so I don't know if you know anything. I'm thinking about wrapping this up. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to let me know how you feel about this episode. Do it down below in the comments, that would be fun. Of course, I will be back next Wednesday with the second episode, so excited for that. Did you like this video? Then all it takes is to click that blue little hand down there. Thanks. Oh, and this Friday I will be making sure I have my thoughts on Big Shot and the Bad Batch. For now, have a wonderful day and see ya.